Breakups are often the symptom of problems in a relationship. My workbook series, The Knowledge, is focused on helping you change your life in 4 key areas: retaining the information that I teach, personal growth, improving your relationships, and of course, re-attracting your ex. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about sex and attachment. Because this is a really important topic.
Yes, it is, and it's much debated.
It really is. But we're going to explore how sex and attachment go together. And we're probably going to explore some different opinions. And I'll share my thoughts on it, and maybe you could share yours. And we're going to talk about Susan Johnson today.
Yes, our new friend Susan Johnson.
Who is a very excellent and highly insightful therapist, and one of our favorites out there.
One of our favorite people. She has summed up everything that went before her and has broken new ground herself. So we will continue to profit from her brilliance.
Yeah, she really is someone that took on the work that John Bowlby did and kind of expanded upon that.
She reviewed everything in the world and then expanded upon it. Yes.
So let's talk about this today, Margaret, because this is so big. Like a huge component of a romantic relationship is the sex and the intimacy.
Yes.
And a lot of times I think what happens in a relationship is when you're with somebody for some time, they become more of like a friend, and which is not bad to be a person's friend, but it loses the component of the romance and the lust that you initially had when you started dating that person.
I think that what Susan says is you can have it all ways.
And I agree. But you have to work at that.
Yes.
It's an effort to work at that.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk about that, Margaret.
Okay. And what Susan starts out by saying is our culture says that sex comes before attachment. She says, however, studies over the last 10 years are clear that attachment brings on sex. Our attachment style, secure, anxious, or avoidant, influences our motives for having sex and our sexual performance and satisfaction and the impact of sex on our love relationships. Now, we could talk for 3 days probably about that sentence alone. But let's go through the attachment styles and I'll let you know what she says.
Okay.
She says avoidant attachment style. She has a name for that. She calls that sealed off sex.
Sealed off sex.
Sealed off sex.
That doesn't sound very inviting.
No. In other words, you have sealed off your emotions from the sex. And the sex is a little bit more mechanical and just a little bit more physical.
You got it.
And not really part of your emotional makeup.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
This is avoidant, okay? So, folks who are uncomfortable with emotional closeness and dependence on others are more likely to have sealed off sex. The focus here is on one's own sensations. Sex is a self-centered and self-affirming performance aimed at achieving climax and confirming one's own sexual skill.
Yeah.
Technique is prized. Openness and vulnerability are shunned.
Sure.
Okay, so these are the clients who say to me, well, I'm having an affair with him, but it doesn't mean anything and I can turn my emotions off. Okay?
And they mean that.
They do at the time. It doesn't always work.
No,
However,
it doesn't.
right.
But when they say that, they mean it at the time.
Yeah, this doesn't mean anything, and so forth and so on. Partners' feelings are deemed insignificant and are easily dismissed. Pleasure without emotional engagement, however, tends to be fleeting. The next day, we just go on as usual. The relationship doesn't improve, really. And she quotes a number of cases where the people would say that they would have basically sealed off sex, but they didn't like each other any better the next day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe the sex wasn't so good then.
Well, it was sealed off.
There's not even a, hey, thanks for last night. That was great.
Yeah, no. It's sort of like you go to work, I go to work, see you. Okay, that's avoidant now. Remember, these are people who work very hard to separate their emotions from the rest of their lives.
Sure.
Okay. Then we have anxious attachment style, and she calls that solace sex.
Solace sex.
Like comforting. Okay? Anxiety is the major feeling for people who are highly vigilant and sensitive to even a hint of rejection.
Sure.
Sex serves a reassurance that they are valued and desired.
Okay.
For
and
men,
not going to be abandoned.
Right, yeah, that's the big one. For men, it is usually the sex act itself that gives comfort. For women, it's the kissing and cuddling that precedes and follows it.
Okay.
Okay? It makes perfect sense that our basic comfort with closeness and vulnerability affects how we express and experience sex. We are wired to put safety first. If we have to constantly monitor our partner's level of love for us, we are distracted from the attunement and responsiveness that good sex requires. In other words, if the entire time I'm having sex with you, I'm wondering if you really love me or if you really are talking with somebody else on your phone, I'm not going to be responsive.
And you're not going to be connected or engaged. You're going to be kind of your thoughts are off in the other things.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We can't be flexible and coordinate our response. We lose our ability to lead and to follow. An obvious dance metaphor. Anxious attachment seems to amplify this effect of good and bad sex. And she's saying, some days it's great and some days it's less great. A client shared with her that if it's really good sex, it restores my confidence in our relationship for a while, and I can believe that he loves me.
Yeah.
I am more affectionate to him then. But if the sex seems just ho-hum, I become really upset about it.
Yeah, because now she's thinking, or they're thinking, this person is not interested in me anymore. They're going to leave me. The sex isn't even good anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I become really bothered about it. I think about it all the next day, and I get edgy. Yeah. Then I tend to push him for more attention, and all my worries about him not really loving me come up.
Yep.
It usually ends in a fight.
Yep.
So that doesn't improve your relationship one bit.
Because now instead of it growing to create a bond and a connection, you're fighting over it.
Exactly. Sexual satisfaction for both the anxiously attached and the avoidant is constricted. The anxious partner is preoccupied with being loved, and the avoidant partner is determined to stay detached.
Yep.
Okay? Worry and distraction do not make for expansive and fulfilling sex.
Okay.
Secure attachment. She calls that synchrony sex. Okay? A secure bond is characterized by emotional openness and responsiveness in the bedroom, as well as outside of the bedroom.
Okay.
That leads to a better communication and engagement. Focused attention is much more possible, which in turn leads to greater arousal, pleasure, and satisfaction. This is sex at its most rewarding.
Yep.
Okay?
Sure.
It gives us great hope for the future that we can now describe the 3 attachment styles and their implications for sex. We did not know this information even 10 years ago. So it is very, very hopeful. And she quotes Yogi Berra. If you know who Yogi Berra is, he caught for the Yankees. No.
That's right.
He caught for the Yankees for how many years?
He was a manager for the Yankees,
And a manager, yes. And he said the funniest things on earth.
He did.
And she quotes him by saying, now we have a map of how to figure this all out. Because Yogi Berra said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll wind up somewhere else. Okay?
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yogi Berra said wonderful things. Yes, you do that. In any case, it's progress that we can say as much about it as we can.
Yeah.
And she will say the securely attached people, don't you get tired of these securely attached people? They get all the goodies and everything is easy for them and everything flows well for them. So I just want to remind most people who are not securely attached that it's not your fault, okay?
Yep.
If we're born into families out of which we come securely attached, we're very fortunate. But just remember, your attachment style is not your fault. But in general, if you want to know how to work on all this, it sounds like working on being more attuned to your partner, tuned into them both emotionally and physically.
That is one of the areas that we constantly try and teach you with.
Yes. That to be more attuned and to listen more and better. Because people ask always the practical question, as they should. So what do we do about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing that's difficult when you're watching a video like this, okay? All of you guys are listening and you're like, how can I put this information into practice right now?
Now that I'm in my 30-day or however many day, no contact.
And we never talk about the 30 days.
Right.
But she says that because that's
Everybody
what
else
most people
says it's
call
the
it.
Standard, yeah.
So you guys are thinking, okay, I want to start doing this thing with my partner. Well, that's fine if you're in a relationship, but if you're in a breakup, this does not apply to you yet.
Not now.
Okay? Right. This is the information you have to learn and work on teaching yourself and educating yourself for when the time comes, and at that point, and you're re-engaging with your ex and trying to work things out,
right.
Or if you're dating other people. This is not information you're trying to play when you're in no contact and you're not reaching out to a partner.
Right.
A lot of people, I could see it already in the comment section. Well, how do I do this if I'm in no contact?
Right. But
you don't. This is not, you can't do this if you're in no contact.
But the work you do will make a difference if you get the other chance to reach out to this person after they reach out to you.
This is the personal growth stuff that we're trying to help you guys learn. Because if you don't learn this stuff now, you're going to be behind when you're trying to re-engage with your ex and you're not going to be emotionally prepared. If you spend all your time obsessing about where they're at and what they're doing, you're wasting time. Because all that time that you check their social media, that you're looking to see when they're on, or where they're at, or who they're talking to, or what they're doing, all of that is going to keep you from working on yourself and preparing for when they do revisit the idea of coming back together. Or if that never happens, and sometimes it doesn't, you are prepared for your next relationship.
Right.
You've got to do the work now. And if you don't, you're going to be sending us an email on the woulda, coulda, shouldas, which we get.
Yeah.
So thinking about your own attachment style and how maybe you view sex is going to help you understand not only yourself, but how you would act with a partner, and understanding that if you're anxious, you're probably more drawn to avoidance. And if you're avoidant, you're probably drawn more to anxious people.
Yep.
It seems to be like the yin and the yang.
It really does.
That we are really attracted to contrast, right? And the people that are almost the opposite of us.
Right.
So you've got to understand that sex and attachment are going to come up in your relationship. And if you're anxious, you're going to be stressed out whenever you're feeling rejected, or
the slightest hint that the word rejection is still in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Abandonment. That's it. You're terrified.
Yeah.
And then, if you're avoidant, you're just trying to maybe enjoy the physical aspect of it, but not trying to connect emotionally, because now that's overwhelming you. And you've got to get comfortable with both scenarios, whichever one you are. You have to get to a place where you're more comfortable and say, okay, I'm feeling a little bit smothered right now. Maybe they're coming on too strong, but I'm going to enjoy this anyway. And I'm just going to understand that they don't mean to do this.
Right.
It's just that's what's going on with them, and I'm going to try and be patient.
Right.
Right?
But it needs to be what's going on with both of you. And Susan goes on a little bit. This is just an addendum. And she talks about Western society in general. She lives in Canada. She's talking about Canada, the UK, the US, all those English-speaking places. And she says we're a society that's obsessed with avoidant sex. Okay?
I think that, there's a lot to that.
I think she's absolutely right. And she's saying, but it really isn't what most people want. It might be what most people can get, or where they're going to begin, but it's really overall not what most people want. And she, of course, wishes everybody to have an integrated relationship that integrates love, sex, attachment, all of those things together.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say up front,
Right.
is that a lot of times the relationship isn't love and attachment
To
and
begin with,
lust.
right.
You need the love,
Right.
and you need the lust,
Yeah.
and it's got to be both, because if it just becomes about friendship, then the lust dies, and then you're going to look for your needs elsewhere.
Right.
So it's important, and I don't think a lot of people can do that. I don't think a lot of people can naturally have a good friendship with their partner and yet explore the maybe sexual desires they have, especially if they're embarrassed to open up about I have these fantasies,
Right.
and they don't feel comfortable because they just get in this friendship mode. So like they start to explore using other people for their lust side.
Exactly.
Because I could do these fantasies with a stranger.
Right, I can do these fantasies with a stranger, yes. And if you want to drive poor Dr. Johnson crazy, tell her that friends with benefits is a good idea. Because to her, that's the most separated kind of sex you can find. All right?
Interesting.
But all different ways
I'd
to
have to think about that one.
Yeah, all ways to think about that. I mean, certainly, if you're a grown-up and you consent, you can do anything you want.
Sure.
But integrated is usually better than separated.
And I don't think a lot of people that are struggling with their attachment issues can incorporate the lust and the emotional connection.
I think that's entirely
And it
possible.
takes time. And awareness is key.
Yeah.
So maybe this video will be something that you can use to kind of be a springboard for thoughts and thinking about
Yes,
it.
absolutely. And that's what we would hope for. Because the more informed you are, the better off you are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Great stuff, Margaret.
All right.
So, of course, when you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching. I do Skype. Margaret is now available for Skype coaching.
And Margaret's quite busy, so I'm very thankful to all of you who've signed up to talk with me. It's great.
All you have to do is click on Margaret at the top of my website to sign up with her. Make sure you put a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon. I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net.